Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that was highly requested regarding enabling and avoidant. And a lot of you guys know that enabling and avoidant can really damage the love that y'all have. And it's not necessarily your fault, but it allows your partner to not heal their wounds. And it also creates a situation where you're not getting your needs met. So we don't want enabling to be occurring in a relationship. And most of the time, enabling is some form of denial. And so I may use the word denial interchangeably in this video specifically, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the signs of knowing that there's enabling going on in this relationship, okay? So the very first one is that you're not sticking to your word about whatever boundary you had. And the reason why is because you are afraid to lose them and feel that you can't do better, not because you genuinely feel like for the relationship, it might be best to put this on the back burner. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what this looks like. So let's say, for example, your boundary has always been that you don't want your partner to raise their voice at you, which is very normal. That's something that you feel very uncomfortable with, and it maybe can trigger you. And so maybe you don't tell them that this is what's bothering you. You don't stick to your word when you say, anytime that you raise your voice, we are cutting off this conversation and we're having it another time when you are more calm. Let's say that's your boundary. But instead what you do is you let them yell at you because you're afraid that if you say something, they're going to yell more. You're afraid that they're going to leave you. And so that is, for example, you enabling them and letting them cross over your boundary. Now, another example could be, let's say you always wanted to get married in 2 years in a relationship because you feel like that's plenty of time, and you're right, it probably is. But your partner, you start realizing, okay, my partner is an avoidant, they might not be ready. And so you decide, okay, as much as I'd like to get married in 2 years, I understand that my partner is not so much agreeing to that timeline. And so I'm okay with putting my timeline a little bit on the back burner as long as I can see them make some progress and some change. That is not enabling or denial because you recognize, okay, my partner is this type of way. You're not saying, no, my partner is not this type of way. They're just hurt. Eventually they're going to do it, or it's not their fault. You're not saying any of those things, even though it could be true. You're saying, okay, I know my partner factually is probably not ready. I love my partner. As long as my partner is making progress, I'm okay with putting that timeline on the back burner and revisiting later. So those are two different ways, okay? The next one is that you feel like your personality has changed and you've lost your identity, okay? Maybe before you were somebody who did actually enjoy, going out with your friends. You enjoyed being a little bit independent, but because your partner is pulling away so much, maybe it's triggering you to be more anxious and more dependent on your partner's validation and love. And if this is happening, a very easy way to adjust this is allow yourself to take time to reflect as to why you're taking their behavior so personally to where it's affecting yourself. It's not your fault, but almost push yourself to be the way you used to be. Now, if you cannot, and it's severe where you feel like no matter what, you are becoming somebody different, you have shaped into something different, that might be a conversation where you might have to realize maybe this relationship is not for you or it needs some serious adjusting, okay? The next one is you're minimizing the reality. I see this so common in my office, and this one, I personally feel can be the one that can create the most issues with love, because what ends up happening is because you're minimizing the reality, you're also creating a foundation where your partner is less likely to actually change because the reality is now shifted, okay? This doesn't mean you have to leave. All that you need to do is admit that there are issues in the relationship. So let's say your partner has a little bit of a drinking issue. They do. You can admit that. That doesn't mean you expect change right away, even though that would be nice. But don't minimize your reality, the reality of what it is. Tell yourself, okay, I think my partner has a drinking issue. They're going to say they don't have one, but I think they do. That's my opinion. That's my perspective. I believe I'm right. I'm okay if I'm wrong. And you're telling yourself this, right? But I think that this is an issue. Don't say, oh, yeah, they drink every now and again, but it's not that big of a deal. Maybe they do it because they need to socialize or they need to be intimate with me in bed. That's the reason. It's nothing else other than that, without realizing they're using it as a vehicle to elaborate their own feelings, to actually accentuate their feelings and help it draw their feelings out. A lot of avoidants do that, or even numb their feelings, because avoidants have a very interesting relationship with feelings. So they use a lot of vehicles to manage those feelings. That's an issue. It's not healthy. If you're doing it casually, You wouldn't need it. You just want to do it. It's very different, okay? So remember that. The next one is you make excuses for them. Let's say your partner did get upset and they raise their voice at you. They shouldn't. And instead what you say is, yeah, they've had a really stressful day. It's okay. I'm just going to not say anything. And then eventually they're going to, realize that was wrong, that they hurt me, but it's not their fault, right? They grew up in a household where shouting was normal. It's okay to admit those things. So that doesn't mean it's an excuse. It's actually something even more to realize, okay, I know my partner, tends to lose their temper or whatever, but I don't like that. My partner grew up in a household where they were angry. That's fine. I understand that. But that just proves to me that they have a problem with this. They have an anger issue because they grew up where they think it's normal. So you can bring up, I don't like that you're raising your voice at me. No matter what, if you raise your voice at me, if you curse at me, we are cutting this conversation off and we're going to reinvest in it when you're more calm. But I do want to let you know, the more that you're doing this to me, it's affecting our relationship. And I don't want it to be to the point where I have to walk away because you can't control yourself, right? Whatever that conversation is, depending on how close you guys are, depending on your own personality, how you want to, leverage that conversation. But making excuses for an avoidant, it's not going to help because they're not going to change, right? They have very low self-awareness. And I'm not saying it's your job to give them self-awareness, but it does not benefit you or them if you are telling yourself something that's not true, okay? Now, this one I see a lot as well. This one is a sign of enabling and denying as well. If you're angry with them and you act like you're going to leave, let's say you do give an ultimatum. Y'all know I'm not really a fan of ultimatums, but everyone's different. Let's say that's your thing. I don't think it works very well, but do what you got to do. Each relationship is different. Let's say you did that, but instead of following through, you actually stay. That is not only is that enabling, it's denial of yourself, and your partner may lose respect for you. You can say, you know what, I was, too angry and I should have calmed down. I should not have said that. I'm working on that. I don't want to leave you. I shouldn't have said that, right? If you call attention and say, hey, this is not something I wanted, I shouldn't have said that, that doesn't make a person lose respect for you typically. It actually makes them respect you more because it allows them to realize, okay, my partner is aware that they were just upset or emotionally charged. But if you don't say that part and you just stay after you were so angry and you're saying, I'm going to leave you, they are not going to take you seriously when you are emotionally charged because they think you just say anything when you're emotional. And that enables them to basically walk all over you or not realize that what they're doing is actually hurting you because in their mind, they're perceiving that it's a you issue, not a them issue, even though it's not. It could be both, but they're seeing it like that. The next one is you give them non-specific support, like giving them money or doing chores for them continuously. Now, if you guys are in an actual long-term relationship, this is understandable every now and again. But if you're noticing it consistently where you're doing it and they're not doing anything back, this is a moment where you can actually go ahead and either readjust that on your part or ask them for more things. I had one couple, and I see this a lot, kind of an example where, let's say anxious, preoccupied female, dismissive, avoidant male, he's not very emotionally communicative. And so he didn't realize it looked a little unbalanced. It's not an excuse. But let's just say she always cooks meals for him, which is fine. Like their long-term relationship, she always cooks meals for him. But that's a lot of money because she buys those groceries. And so technically she's spending more money even though he's the one paying for dates. And she felt some type of way about it. Maybe, what if he doesn't even pay for dates? So he's always the one spending money. She's always the one spending money. What can sometimes help is just mentioning, hey, can you buy this for my birthday? Or my gas is running low. Do you mind filling that up for me? I would really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Or even mentioning, I like doing things for you. I like buying groceries, but sometimes I'd like if you could balance it out, right? Sometimes they just don't know. And so if you're giving non-specific support, you can either dial down your support or expect them to give support one way or the other to even it out a little bit. The next one is you lie to others about the reality of your relationship with them. Maybe you say, oh yeah, he's telling me he wants to marry me. I'm the one that doesn't want to marry him. And that's not true. By you doing that, I know that you're trying to protect the perspective of other people, how they see the relationship, because a lot of people will judge these relationships without understanding them. I get that, but just rather, instead of lying to other people, just don't tell them. Don't tell them. Bring it to a professional, how you want to process the relationship. Don't bring it to people who don't understand. So that's one way to understand, okay? That still is denying, because when you put this relationship in one viewpoint, your partner doesn't get the pressure or the optics of maybe how other people perceive them, and that might not help them change. So that probably wasn't very clear. If a partner is doing something where maybe it would damage their reputation, and you have trusted people in your life that you want to communicate that with, you're not trying to put them down, but you really are trying to say, hey, my partner did this and I feel very frustrated. These people might also help encourage them to change if you guys are all very close, and you're losing those ties. Because when you guys are very close, let's say it's your siblings or your parents, if they really want what's best for you, they might encourage your partner, hey, don't talk like that to my sister. I know that you don't mean it like that, but she's feeling really hurt. She's come to me many times, like telling me that you lost, you're raising your voice and we're worried. Like, what's going on? What can we do to help? Like, you won't get that support you're looking for or you might need, okay? So how do you help them change and adjust instead of enabling them? The first way is to provide an honest perspective without expecting or demanding, while continuously being a safe space for them. Hey, I noticed that you drink a lot when you're stressed out. I don't think that's healthy. I'm always here to talk about it. So if you ever want to vent or express yourself, I'm here, but I'm telling you, I'm worried about you. That's just my opinion, right? You just left it at that. The next one is you avoid overreacting. Overreacting is a placeholder word. Not sure what word to say, but y'all know what I mean, I hope. When they make a mistake. And instead, you're direct, not harsh about it, instead of actually like name calling or yelling at them. So let's say they told you that after work, they're going to pick up, like, let's say you text them, hey, can you pick up milk? I'm cooking something. Maybe you're making a cake or something. Whatever it is, can you pick up some milk? We ran out. And that ingredient is required for what you're making, and you don't want to get out of the process, and you know that, they can pick up milk or whatever it is while they're coming back home. So you are not asking for a lot, just very quick. And they said, yeah, I promise I'll pick the milk up, whatever it is. And they come home and they forgot. That's annoying. Completely annoying. Not even an avoidant thing, just like annoying in general, right? And you said, hey, I told you to get the milk. Now I'm like sitting with, whatever half-made batter or whatever, and I'm going to have to make it without water. I'm going to put heavy cream with water or heavy cream or whatever your version is, right? And so you're feeling very frustrated, but instead of saying you're forgetful, you're stupid, whatever your words are, you don't care about me, you only care about yourself, whatever it is, you said, like, I thought that you were going to get the milk. I really need the milk. Can you please go get it right now? Because I can wait a little bit, but please, you said that you would. I would appreciate that. You were direct. And even if they say, hey, I'm too tired, whatever it is, you can say, okay, that's fine. But next time if that happens, just tell me. Or were you avoiding that from me? Why didn't you tell me directly? And you can have a conversation like that, okay? The next one is hold them accountable without guilt or shame. Very similar, right? So the first one, I actually gave that example. You were not reacting, but you were clear and direct, but you also held them accountable. Hey, you promised me that you would get the milk. Can you go get it right now? Or, okay, I figured out how to do it without the milk, but I really wish that you got it next time. If you can't get it, just tell me. Or if you forgot, I at least would like an apology, whatever that is, right? The next one is celebrate positive changes with recognition and appreciation. Let's say they did remember to get the milk, but they used to not. You can say, by the way, I appreciate you getting the milk. And I noticed that before, these are things that you would forget or I would have to remind you. And I don't mind doing that, but it really shows me how much you care about me that you are starting to do these things without me saying it. It means a lot. And I actually remember, all the moments where you're starting to show up more. And I feel very appreciated, right? You just mentioned that. The next one in general is engaging in your own hobbies. That can just help you guys to have a little bit more of a balanced relationship instead of you being completely involved in everything that they're doing or what's going on in their life. By you having your own hobbies, you're actually appreciating yourself. And you're recognizing that regardless of if your partner changes or not, you still have yourself. This relationship, maybe it's not functioning as well as you want it to, but it's still okay. You have your partner and you have yourself, and that's very important. The next one is you work collaboratively to both make changes, right? You apologize, they apologize, you work together. You both have conversations where maybe they're saying, hey, I think you need to improve your self-esteem a little bit. I care about you. Your avoidant partner saying this, right? But I think that some of the reasons why you're so, jealous about me talking to my female boss, let's say it's a male, is because, I think it's an insecurity issue. I don't think my boss likes me. I don't think it's like that. I would never do anything like that, right? And so they're telling you, hey, this is what I think you need to change. And you can say, yeah, I agree. But I also think sometimes you struggle with recognizing if someone's attracted to you. So I'm going to work on that on my part, but I also think that you struggle with boundaries. Can we meet in the middle, right? And so you guys are working together collaboratively. The next one is you're being honest internally with yourself about the struggles of being with your partner. Avoidants are not easy. There's no point in lying, right? Everybody knows that. They know that. Trust me, I used to be one. I know that being with an avoidant is not easy, and they know it's not easy. Sometimes they just don't know what to do with it. But lying to yourself, oh, this is so easy, this is great, that's not helpful. You can say that we have worked together and our relationship has really gotten to the point where it's great, but we've had a lot of struggles, but I'm proud of where we are. That's more honest. Be honest with yourself internally. You can still say it's really annoying how, I don't know, stubborn my partner is. It's so annoying how he doesn't compromise. Whatever it is, be honest, right? And so understanding that really helps the relationship to grow. It also helps your self-esteem, and you're not enabling your partner anymore. So what are the dangers of enabling? The dangers are, if you enable your partner will not be motivated to change. They will also not know your boundaries, what your boundaries are. You will build resentment. Your partner will not learn to respect or value you the way you deserve to be respected or valued, and you may start losing respect for yourself, okay? So I hope this video was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.